So Waffle Zone B U20 tournament host and win.
And much later in the bulletin, how rapper Strongman feels about his inability to win the Best Rapper of the Year despite being nominated multiple times.
I'm the only one with that, number of nomination. Not anyone on the soil has it. But if in case we win, I just feel bad for the fans. I wish we can win so they can, celebrate. I just want the fans to, be happy.
That and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay on for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Well, this afternoon, the Bank of Ghana is expected to receive $604 million today, which is the first tranche of the International Monetary Fund's $3 billion bailout to Ghana. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, notes that the money would boost the country's reserves and the city, which is already doing very well in recent times. The IMF deal, expected to restore confidence in the economy, however, has far-reaching consequences for the ordinary Ghanaian and businesses. In the following news desk report, we explore how the 3-year package will impact on livelihoods.
The last few months have seen multiple upward adjustments in utility tariffs. The PURC's justification for the increment has been the depreciation of the Ghana cedi, high inflation, and other factors influencing the high cost of operations of the utility companies. But according to an IMF country report, these increments were part of prior actions Ghana needed to undertake to secure the $3 billion program. The agreement also noted that there will be additional quarterly tariff adjustments throughout 2023 to help reduce the cost recovery gap and limit this year's shortfall to around 2.7% of GDP. The agreement also advises government to maintain modest tariff adjustments and slight improvement in debt recovery to help reduce the sector's shortfall to 1.7% of GDP by 2026. This means that we may be experiencing sustained marginal upward adjustment of utility tariffs between now and end of the IMF program in 2026. Consequently, the PURC announced an 18.36% increase in electricity and natural gas tariffs for all consumer groups following its review of the second quarter of 2023, effective June 1, 2023. Government is additionally being urged to renegotiate the take-or-pay agreement with the IPPs, reforming subsidies to reduce revenue shortfalls, among others. Per the demands stated in the IMF document, prices of petroleum products may also experience marginal increases should government fully withdraw all subsidies on these products and adjust the taxes. The IMF is also asking government to limit hiring and wage increments, allocation to statutory funds, and reprioritization of capital expenditure is to be implemented as well.
Now, Professor of Finance with the University of Ghana Business School, Godfred Bopping, says the content of the IMF deal will leave Ghana worse off.
When Ghana signed up for the 16th IMF program, there was a lot of optimism. Even at that time, inflation wasn't up to 20%. And one of the key program objectives was debt sustainability. But we exited that program after 1 year extension in April 2019 with debt still being unsustainable. So what I'm saying is that the program approval represents positive news, but it's not an end in itself. Because if you read through the program totally, it will only return us faster to the IMF right after the program exits. And I'll tell you why. If a program is designed under fiscal consolidation that is heavily predicated on revenue handles, it tells you it's not sustainable. It tells you that the level of sacrifice by private sector and households in the immediate, in order to restore macroeconomic stability, will weigh heavily on the country post-program. If you want to scale up your tax GDP ratio from below 13% to 18.2% in 3 years, it tells you the level of cash flow sacrifices that businesses and households have to make. How would this program implementation lead to job-rich growth? How would the implementation of the measures in the program lead to poverty reduction? And then how would it narrow inequality? I am not discounting what the IMF has done. What I'm saying is that it will bring macroeconomic stability, but macroeconomic stability is not an end in itself. It's only a means to an end.
Now, ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, says government's poor negotiation is to blame for the hardship the deal will impose on Ghanaians.
I've read the IMF release, and when you read that release, you will not be in doubt that this program is poorly negotiated. This program had no focus from Ghana. This program, at best, was akin to a lobbyist activity by the finance minister, who single-handedly was roaming within the corridors of IMF and roaming within the corridors of the Paris Club just to get this program through. You cannot tell anybody what was government's program and what was on the table. There's nothing like that. And so you've ended up with the IMF basically technically designing a program and giving it to us because we just didn't have any direction. And the issues that have been raised in that document are so daring that I tend to say that we are in a very, very difficult situation. The pill is a lot bitter than I have known.
We can hear from another lecturer at the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana, Professor Lord Mensah, who says government has an opportunity to reset the economy under the IMF supervision.
You are looking at a possibility of, this external debt restructuring that we have done. If we should go by it very well and stay disciplined, you see, what brings about, the borrow that normally increase our debt is the budget deficit that we create. If we live within our means and ensure that we stick to the IMF, possible 5% to GDP budget deficit that they give us, I think over time, we should be able to sail out of, this, we should be able to hit this target of debt to GDP. Because
Meanwhile, a key condition under the deal is the demand for a memorandum of understanding to be signed between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana for zero financing of government's budget. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Bank of Ghana supported the budget with almost 70 billion cedis. Well, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, says that MOU has been signed.
The problem in Ghana started only in January 2022. And at the end of 2021, inflation was at 12.6, and within a year, we had seen inflation rise to 54.1%, partly because there was a difficulty in financing the budget. The access to the capital markets was not available, which led to, central bank accommodation of government. And as you're aware, we have signed a memorandum of understanding not to proceed with that going forward.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, but the Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, insists an MOU is not enough to ensure compliance.
This economy will need about 10.5 billion to end this year. We are in distress. Major economic distress. We've gone beyond an economic crisis. MOU between the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana, laughable for Ghana. A serious country must be run seriously and run guided by legal framework that protects the state and protects its institutions. The Bank of Ghana is in breach of the Bank of Ghana Act for having to overdraft and borrow government beyond the stipulated legislation within the amended Bank of Ghana Act.
That's the Tamale South MP, Haruna Idrisu. We may have secured that 3 billion fund from the International Monetary Fund, with the first tranche hitting the accounts today. But there's a demand that the nation's corporation to show up its domestic revenue via a set of conditions. That's what we know. But these conditions seem to be increasing the burden on the few Ghanaians already saddled with numerous taxes. Listen to some Ghanaians' reaction to the latest water bill rate.
Averagely, how much do you make in a month?
It's about 3,000. Sometimes it's even lower. Water bill is about 400 Ghana. So imagine with this increment, how am I going to manage?
I'm an accountant, an administrator, and then an operations assistant. Last month I paid around 125 cedis a month. So it means that I'm going to pay 18% extra. It's a tough situation because the cost of living keeps on increasing and incomes remains the same.
It was around 100 cedis. That was the last bill I paid. I mean, I'm not having a fixed salary. What I even earn is just a part-time something.
Well, ordinary Ghanaians are not alone. Industry players are also complaining. The National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers fear its members will suffer under the new increment. National President Magnus Nunu has been speaking to us.
Well, alternative for those who are in very good areas where they can get water is to go for boreholes. Otherwise, for the majority in Accra who are actually using Ghana water, they don't have an alternative than to absorb the cost. It will be difficult to actually pass it on, especially the timing. 1st June, we really in the epi rainy season, and it will be difficult to actually pass the cost on. Of course, 25% from February to June, 4 months is quite significant.
That's the Sachet Water Producers Association there speaking to us on the effect of this new wage bill. Well, the IMF deal and its associated effects, let's move away from it because the key sponsor of anti-gay bill, Sam George, says he's already bearing the brunt of his push to have the law passed. As he reviews, he's been placed on a money laundering list. Parliament is set to pass the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill following adoption of its Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee's report. Mr. George says his quest is turning into a very challenging one. Listen.
I went to do a program in LSE, for example, I needed a student account. The university gave me a letter.
Yeah.
The bank refused to open an account for me.
In the UK?
Yes. As we speak now, I can't change $1 anywhere in the world.
Really?
Yes. They've put me on a money laundering list. They claim I'm laundering money for evangelical conservatives in the UN. So I can't change, not anywhere. And I've done some travels in the UK, in Dubai. I can't change because when I say who got change here, you better swipe your passport.
Yeah.
Yes, swipe your passport now. Now when we say
Sam George.
Now when we say Kasha and the then they hand your passport back to you and they're like as though we, and they're like, no, we can't change for you. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
In the Utukaya, what do you do?
Masa, you have to find the currency of the country. I just pagan and be now now.
You heard there Sam George Ningo Brampram MP speaking to my colleague Philip Osebonsu on Asempa FM. Well, the local council of churches we know have assembled in Cape Coast in a big effort to have the bill passed into law. They've launched a series of educational workshops in several central regional towns, as well as engaged in weeks of intense prayer. Lawyer Formweni and other community leaders started the campaign at Cape Coast Wesley Methodist Church. Here accepts.
Me, I am not part of any of them, but if you want for your animals to be handled by another man and use all different toys for yourself, me, I support.
When people belonging to the LGBTQ community insist they were born that way, it's a lie. But I believe when we pray against it, God will bless us. It's a serious business. I'm pleading with you for us in Cape Coast and its environs. We will not give them that chance. These whites cannot control us.
You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM. And turn our attention to some other stories now. On trial of former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi is said to suffer a major setback as investigative journalist Anas Aremeyao Anas says he will no longer testify. He explains allowing his face to be inspected before court proceedings endangers him. The journalist was this week directed by an Accra High Court to testify in open court in his trademark mask, but his face would have to be seen by Mr. Nyantakyi before the hearing begins. He has been reacting to this in a statement. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable joins me in studio with a copy of that statement. Let's talk about the other details contained in there.
He points out that his request for the protection of his identity stems from his role as an undercover journalist, and exposing his face elevates the risk. He points out that he only opted to testify in the stead of his colleague Ahmed Swale, who was killed on condition that his identity will be protected. He therefore cannot accept the invitation to testify under these circumstances, and so prudence requires that he declines the invitation to reveal his identity.
What then does this mean to this case?
It presents a major challenge. The entire case hinges on the work done by Anas and his colleagues at Tiger IPI. We also know that the trial delayed because the key witness, Ahmed Swale, was killed. The AG thus has the option of compelling Anas to testify, in which case they risk having him not cooperating when he mounts the box, dropping the case entirely, or having another person testify in his stead. But the last option comes with the risk of that person not having personal knowledge of the evidence that has been gathered against Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Now, Blade, do we know if a decision has been taken on this?
A decision has not been taken yet by the Attorney General, but the next court date is 21st June, and so we should know by then what steps prosecutors intend to take.
And it's time to enter the election headquarters at this point, and tension has heightened between the New Patriotic Party and an independent candidate in the Kumewu constituency in the Ashanti region as a by-election in the area draws closer. The NPP has over the years taken lead to win the seat, but two independent candidates, both named Kwekudria, are vying for the parliamentary seat. Interestingly, they have both flanked the kente fabric around their shoulders on the ballot sheet. Nana Ojima has been looking at the heated exchanges between the two leading candidates as they enter the final lap of their campaigns and reports.
In the 2020 parliamentary election, the deceased MP, Philip Baswa, garnered over 14,000 votes, with the independent candidate, Kwekudria, making 11,698. The NDC candidate who came third, Bernard Opokumafo, could make 2,439 votes. These results are, however, being contested by the independent candidate.
To us who voted, everybody knew that I won that election. And for that reason, I was bent on going to court.
The independent candidate was once a member of the New Patriotic Party. He refused a call to reunite with the party after the 2020 general election.
If I contest with anybody, I will lose. Why? Because I don't have anybody to vote for me. Because they disqualified all my guys.
The NPP have since attacked his campaign, claiming the candidate is in bed with the opposition National Democratic Congress. Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entwibu-Siakon, explains.
He's a traitor. He can now be linked to the biblical Judas Iscariot. He is now in bed with the NDC. That is why his posters are green in color. So they are now relying on him.
The candidates who are favored to win the seat have stepped up their campaign. The independent candidate is, however, unfazed.
So we leave it to the people to decide whom they trust, whom they think can deliver.
The NPP is expected to climax its campaign with a rally on Sunday where the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is expected to be present. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumewu.
Interesting developments there in Kumewu. We are told also that both have their symbols as a bird, just headed in different directions. Let me take you live there. And Ohiming Teria is there for us, gauging the mood ahead of Tuesday's elections. Ohiming, what can you report? How is Kumewu preparing for the elections?
Yes, Emefa, I must say that the constituency is geared up towards the elections. When you are entering the constituency from the Pijasi, that is the Secretary East constituency, you see the MPP and NDC paraphernalia, and that of the independent candidate, Kwekudria, who contested the lead MP in this constituency. And all their posters are lining up on the road. And as we speak at the Kumewu township itself here, a while ago, I saw a group of MPP supporters and that of NDC and the independent candidate also teaming up at the Kumewu roundabout here. I have been speaking to some of the residents here, what they make of the two Kwekudrias on the ballot, and their perspectives are very, very interesting. They seem not to be bothered by the fact that the two contestants, both independents, have Kwekudria on the ballot. So for them, their mind is made up. You know whom they are voting for, and nothing will deter them from voting for a candidate that is not their preferred choice. They say that they believe some people are behind the plot to dissuade most of the teaming supporters of the former, let me say, the first independent candidate, Kwekudria, who first contested the MP. And so they believe that once they've made up their mind to vote for them, nothing will stop them. And some of them I spoke to are NDC supporters who tells me they will vote for President Bahama in the general elections, but when it comes to the parliamentary, they vote for the independent candidate. Interestingly, I have the NDC's regional communications officer, Abbas Surudin, here. And let me find out from him, once the former president is also visiting Kumawu today, what will be the former president's itinerary here in Kumawu, and what do you make of the two Kwakudians on the ballot?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say a warm good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Former President Mahama is visiting Kumawu today, and as tradition demands, he will pay a courtesy call on the Kumawu Hine and his elders. Then we will go to Kumawu Bodomase to meet some traders. Then we will come to the Kumawu Township for a mini street rally.
Well, so that's the action in Kumewu, and your election headquarters has got you covered. We also understand that Kumewu residents are now enjoying massive road reconstruction ahead of Tuesday's parliamentary election. But is it to influence the election? Here's Roads Minister Kwesi Amakwata.
No. I mean, by election will not move our government, our party to go and start development project. Procurement will take not less than 6 to 8 weeks to do. So the fact that you have a contract, there's a contractor, and the contract has been signed and all, within these 2.5 weeks means that it has been done already.
That's the Roads Minister, Kwesi Amakwata, there, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM, also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. We return from the break with sports, and then we'll talk about how rapper Strongman feels about his inability to win the best rapper of the year despite being nominated multiple times.
I'm the only one with that, number of nominations. Not anyone on the soil has it. But if in case we win, I just feel bad for the fans. I wish we can win so they can, celebrate. I just want the fans to, be happy. Our bomb so, Sebra Numren so, Ebiane Honso, Unyasi Fom so, Michaletia, Menansi Fom Sekurase Comfo.
Wake up at dawn. No chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor gets water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank gets meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe. So say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for sticking with us. Let's do sports now. Michelle Queen is here with the very latest. Michelle, what are we looking at?
Emefa, tomorrow, Ghana's Black Princesses play Benin in the opening game of the inaugural Wafu Zone B U20 Girls Tournament. The target for Ghana is to secure U20 Women's AFCON spot by reaching the final of the Wafu Zone B tournament on 3rd June. Ghana's other opponent in Group A is Cote d'Ivoire. The Princesses' last preparatory game was 2 days ago, an 11-0 pacing of Niger. The head coach is Yusuf Basigi. He's promised good football, but wants fans to be at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium to see it firsthand.
I think that Ghanaians will expect good football. The going will still be tough, but we are going to make Ghanaians proud of the competition up to the end. And of course, the ultimate is what we are all going to crowd for. With the support of Ghanaians, I know that we'll get to the ultimate. We are expecting them to come and cheer the ladies up. We want gender balance. They have been cheering the men to victory most of the time, filling the stadium to cheer them to victory, and we are also expecting same.
Right, that's all for sports, but from 1:15 game plan is on.
Well, we'll catch that shortly. Thank you, Michael. Now, the Ghana Boundary Commission is hinting of a possible reconstruction of some boundary pillars which played a crucial role in the 2017 ITLOS ruling but are currently buried in the beach sand of the Western region. Speaking at the opening ceremony of a joint technical meeting in La Côte d'Ivoire, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said the construction of a lighthouse in the previously disputed area with Côte d'Ivoire will also help align the common land boundary terminus, which serves as a guide for the maritime boundary between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Maxo Agbagba has more from La Côte d'Ivoire.
The main objective of the meeting in Grand Bassam, Côte d'Ivoire, is to continue discussions on the process of reaffirming the land boundary between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire by replacing damaged boundary pillars. It is also for the implementation of the 2017 ruling by the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, ITLOS. ITLOS in Hamburg, Germany in 2017 ruled in favor of Ghana in the maritime dispute with Côte d'Ivoire. The chamber, in a unanimous decision, ruled that there has not been any violation on the part of Ghana on Côte d'Ivoire's maritime boundary. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the meeting, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, urged the two commissions to consider the construction of the lighthouse
and possibly coordinate the reaffirmation of the land boundary terminus. That's pillar 54-55 on the Ghana side at Newtown. One thing we have realized is that the pillars, some of the pillars have been submerged by the sand. And let's remember that it is the land boundary terminus in that area that was used by ITLOS ruling, and that is where that is what guides us so far as our maritime boundary is concerned. We're hoping that this meeting will be able to set up a date as part of the plan of action to be able to go for an inspection of those pillars.
Now, social media has become part of our everyday activities, but some individuals find a way to connect and engage in what is described as a romance scam with users. Private legal practitioner and lecturer at UPSA Law School, Gertrude Amoko Ama, urges social media users to tread cautiously when dealing with strangers online.
In cases like these, it is most likely that the relationship between the two of them started via the internet. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we don't have those minute details, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. On the basis of that, and mind you, there are cases where the victim would also try to exercise as much due diligence as possible by asking questions, by asking probing questions. And that is when they are also forced to move the scam to the next level by, for example, presenting themselves. Okay, well, if you're not sure about who I am, I can pass by, take you to lunch, or go shopping for you, and then you're happy when this person shows up. Oh, so this is the name, the face behind the name. But it doesn't end there. Do you know what work he does? Are you sure of his family, his friends, and so on and so forth?
The next time you're on social media, watch out. Now, how does it feel like to be nominated multiple times for the Best Rapper Award at the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards and still not getting that ultimate? Rapper Strongman is yet to win it. He says it's disappointing, but he remains focused.
I think the fans have been so supportive. Yeah, so for me, I think on the path of the fans, I think they've given me my flowers enough. But also, some of them also think maybe awards has not, been. I haven't been that fortunate when it comes to, awards in Ghana. So maybe when it gets to that point, I think people will tell me, Zabia, my flowers has not been given to me.
But do you think the awards have been fair?
Life in itself is not even fair. 4 years, 4 Best Rapper nominations. I'm the only one with that, number of nominations. Not anyone on the soil has it. If in case we win, I just feel bad for the fans. I wish we can win so they can, celebrate. I just want the fans to, be happy. So if we win, cool. But if we don't, life has still been going on without the award, so it will keep.
That's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. It will put me at risk and ask withdrawals from testifying against Nyantichi over order to remove mask. Also, IMFD, we are not sure what haircut external creditors will take Ofuriatta. Don't forget to tune in to Newsfile at 9 a.m. every Saturday for the best. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. Do stay. I am Emefa Apawu. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next.